If you've ever said to yourself, I love Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I would love to play a game that mirrored that classic 90s movie. Or if you're a big fan of survival games and eating insects and having like 2 hour long loading screens, then Grounded might also be a good game for you. Now, luckily for us Switch users, that 2 hour long loading screen is a Switch exclusive. I'm gonna cut to the chase and say I want to talk about Grounded. Now, this is a game that I picked up on a whim. I did play the preview that was released on the Xbox. God, it feels like forever ago. I played it for a while and I thought, man, I really think I could get into this game. So when it came to the Switch, I had to purchase it. Before we get into that though, please do me a favor and take just a quick second to hit that like and subscribe button. My sub numbers have been flying recently, and I have to thank you guys. You're amazing, and I truly appreciate it. So, as I said, I have played Grounded before, but in a very limited capacity. We're talking maybe an hour or two, and I just felt like this would be more perfect for me in a handheld setting. And I have to admit that survival games are some of those type of games that I want to like, and I really try to like, and I always come up with excuses why I don't like it. For instance, like Ark. Ark was one of those games that I thought, well, the community's already developed, and yeah, I played it for a little bit, but it just doesn't hit the same. Like, I think if I had been there from ground zero and kept going, then I would really understand it more. I'd really enjoy it. And so I really did try to invest my time in Grounded. And since I would say 90% of my gaming is done in handheld mode, when this came to the Switch, it was just a perfect fit for me. Now, for those of you who don't know, Grounded is either a single player game or a multiplayer game. The online capabilities, those on the Switch are not great, I'll be honest, but what essentially the whole story is you wake up as one of 4 characters you get to choose, and you've been shrunk. You're in your backyard, but with the perspective from it like a dust mite or something, or an ant, except for even ants are kind of bigger than you. As you can imagine, you're pretty freaked out by this. You only have 2 options, 2 ways of moving forward, and that is to find out how to get yourself back to your regular size. But before that, you need to survive the night. And with a bunch of different insects looming from every corner of every blade of grass, survival becomes paramount, and your most important task is to find yourself a shelter, find some food, and definitely some water, as all of these gauges slowly start to deplete after you start the game. Now, most of it is actually relatively easy. One of my big issues with a lot of survival games and crafting games is it always feels like a slog to do it. You know, you gotta find the recipes, you gotta find different items. I end up collecting like way too many of just one item that's easy to find, and I spend like a good hour just harvesting the same crap that I'll never end up using or use very little. And with this game, it is a little bit different. Most of the recipes are kind of there for you. They do hold your hand to an extent. And in fact, the first hour or two is essentially like a guided tutorial in many ways. Now, if you want, you can just explore to your heart's content, and the game's not going to stop you, but they are there to keep you on track. Hey, this is how you get food, this is how you craft items. We're going to give you the essentials, or at least instruct you on how to create these items, these essentials that you're going to need, like a workbench, a split roast, all these kind of things that you need to survive in most survival type games. And honestly, I really appreciated that. As somebody who's not very savvy when it comes to survival games, I need that little bit of help just to kind of get me going on the right path, get me going in that mindset. And yet, then it pretty much just lets you do what you want to do. Now, there are a couple overarching stories that you somewhat need to follow. Of course, like we said before, finding out how to become your normal size and find out exactly what happened to you. And for that, you're going to be exploring quite a bit. You're going to find some very different laboratories, some really advanced technology that you wouldn't expect to find in your backyard that is about the size of a golf ball. But you also see some very interesting experiments that happened in these laboratories. Many of this do paint the picture of what actually happened to you. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that because it sort of ruins the game. I will say this. As I continued to play this game, two things really crept up in my mind. Number one, I'm a little bit more afraid of spiders than I thought. In fact, I would argue that some of this game actually played out more like a horror game to me. But, when you are this little tiny microscopic dude and you're looking down at a gigantic wolf spider who's wanting to eat you, I don't know, it's kind of creepy. Not to worry though, if you do have arachnophobia, there is actually an accessibility option that makes the spiders look, well, kind of ridiculous. It's actually more funny than it is anything else, and I'm not gonna say ruins the game, but it does just look ridiculous. But the other thing that I realized while playing this game was that I don't like survival games. I have tried so many times and I just don't like them. I think that this is one of those games that gave me the best opportunity to enjoy it. And I mean that because it was on the Switch. When I look at it graphically and look at the world, it actually looks really good. The port to this game was done really well. I can't say that much about the multiplayer. It's okay, but there's definitely some limitations. And yes, the loading screen, as I mentioned before, is insanely long. You could literally go to your kitchen, make yourself a sandwich, and still come back and have to wait a little bit. I wish I was kidding with that. The load times are just ridiculous. But again, I can overlook that because I know I'm playing on the Switch in the year 2024, and I'm playing a pretty good port, if I'm being honest. Performance-wise, the game holds up really well. Most of the graphics actually look really good. The game was surprisingly detailed, and I really didn't notice that I'm playing this on an underpowered system. Didn't notice that at all. So what's the problem? And I think it's just me. I think at the end of the day, I have to stop trying to like certain games that I just don't like. And this game is $30, so it's a pretty, expensive investment, but at the same time, I think it's priced right. I think if you like survival games and you played this game or you played other survival games, it's a good deal for it. It lives up to that price, and you get a whole lot of extras with it. You get a lot of extra content that came out later. It's basically what they call the Yoked Edition, so I don't exactly know what's all included in that as far as what was different from the base game, because I don't have a large knowledge of either, but I believe it when they say they have everything added in and whatever. And yeah, I think this game, for the right person, people who like survival games, they're really going to enjoy it. And like I said before, when it comes to the sound, when it comes to the performance, when it comes to all those things that are really important for us as gamers, this is pretty much spot on. Does a really great job. I never had any issues as far as lagging or as far as just complete crashes. As I've also said before, graphically the game looks really good. It has all of those essential things that we enjoy in a game. So ultimately, I personally would have to say that this game is a 7.5 out of 10. Now, I haven't beaten it and I won't. It's a very long game and there's a million things to do. But for me personally, I learned the lesson of maybe sometimes let a genre go. Maybe it's just not going to be my style. And as much as I want to expand my mind, expand my gaming realm, if you will, sometimes it's just not going to work. And this is definitely one of those times, as this was the best opportunity for me to enjoy a survival game, and it just wasn't there. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on Grounded. Have you guys checked it out? Have you played it? Are you interested in it? Like I said before, for me, I think that as the survival games go, this is a really good one. I think it was ported really well. I think it's priced pretty well. There are so many wins here with this game that I could easily give it anywhere between a 7.5 and an 8.5 out of 10. The loading screen, that thing, that's kind of ridiculous. And I think why I lean on the 7.5 more than 8.5 is because as a single player campaign, I can see where this game would get very repetitive. And I don't even mean that from a person who doesn't like this genre. I just mean this from a gamer in general. I can tell where, even myself, I felt towards the end of my experience, it was kind of a chore. I didn't really want to play it. I knew exactly what I was walking into, and it was just kind of more of the same. At the beginning and early on, exploration is really fun, but it kind of becomes monotonous and, I don't know, sort of the same thing. It does expand, don't get me wrong. Just saying, the lack of more NPCs, a lack of a larger world, it really starts to show. It's kind of like how Fallout 76 was. But if you're online and you've got a good group of friends playing it, or you've got some stuff like that going on, it could be incredibly fun. It's just right now for me, it all kind of felt limited when it came to matchmaking and playing online, as well as having, again, the loading screen. Just all that. It was like, okay, it's going to take me a good 30 minutes to get this game up and going. I don't really have that time. You know what I mean? But anyway, again, let me know what your thoughts are. Checked it out. Are you interested in this one? Are you a big fan? Let me know your experiences with it. Anything and everything down in the comment section is much appreciated. I love each and every one of you guys. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.